Mikey Garcia's message to Broner, he says he doesn't lose. Stay tuned. Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. 1. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button, hit the subscribe button for the latest and greatest, and we working, man. 2017 has been a great year. Now, I did a video earlier about it when it was first announced. Showtime Boxing did it again. They've been stacking 2017 with marquee matchups. Good, great matchups fans would be involved with, fans would be entertained by, and they're living up to the hype as a network. For the longest, I will be honest, HBO had the better programming when it came to boxing. Regular HBO, from face-offs to 24/7s to just really good fights. They had all the big names. But after Floyd Mayweather left and a bunch of Heyman fighters left and went over to Showtime, slowly but surely Showtime started working their way back into the fight, just like a fight. So it's crazy because just like the Ward Kovalev fight, for example, you can get knocked down early and then work yourself back in the fight. And to me, that's what Showtime did, because 2017, at least the first half, they have the far better programming. In fact, I can't really think of many fights, HBO pay-per-view or HBO, that did not play out like most people expected. If anything, it was worse than people expected, like Canelo Chavez Jr. HBO pay-per-view. Some people thought it would be competitive. I even thought it would be competitive. I thought Canelo had the better skill, but Chavez didn't show up. He didn't, the weight or whatever was wrong with him, he didn't get off. You look at Vasyl Lomachenko versus Jason Sosa, heavy favorite, and he beat down on Jason Sosa, who, in my opinion, lost to Nicholas Walters, right? Curtis Stevens, David Lemieux, most people were siding with Lemieux, so we haven't really seen any surprises on HBO. You know what I mean? The only one I could really think of is maybe Miguel Berchelt versus Francisco Vargas, and that wasn't like a big... That was just a good, scrappy fight, but they did it on the night of a Showtime card, because I was at that Showtime card with Mikey Garcia, who is the subject of this video, and he had a brutal knockout of Dejans Latishinin, and then Leo Santa Cruz, Carl Frampton. Adrien Broner versus Adrian Granados, with Lamont Peterson on the undercard, and an eliminator versus David Avanesian with Marcus Brown on the undercard, right? Showtime's parent company, CBS, did Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia. Last weekend, we had Kell Brook versus Errol Spence. Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko. Both HBO and Showtime had the fight, but Showtime had it in real time. So the time it came on in the UK, if you're in the States and you had Showtime, you got to watch it there first, right? So hell of a job by Showtime, I gotta be honest, right? And I just call it how it is. But Mikey Garcia, the announcement of his fight in July, he had a lot to say, and I want to read some of his quotes. Showtime, on their Twitter, verified Twitter account, they posted some quotables from Mikey Garcia, and Mikey Garcia says, and I quote, "Broner has lost. I don't lose. I don't believe anyone around my division can beat me, and I believe I'm the better fighter." He goes on to say, "When I moved from featherweight to lightweight, the power was still there. It depends how well my opponent can take a punch." And Mikey also, just in case people are wondering what's up with Jorge Linares and Robert Easter Jr., those types of fights, Mikey Garcia says, "I still hope to have a unification fight before the end of the year, but it just wasn't available to happen this summer." Very exciting. Oh, what a time to be alive. Yeah. Mikey Garcia also said, "This is the biggest fight available right now. Since there wasn't one available at lightweight, I moved up in weight." I mean, at the end of the day, I can't knock Mikey Garcia. Like, I've always been a fan of Mikey Garcia, but people, when they do stuff like this in the boxing world, it reassures you, like, I see why I supported this guy for so long. You know what I mean? I interviewed Mikey Garcia. This is just a little story in case you're new to the channel. I interviewed him, and this was right after he became a champion, maybe before like a Juan Carlos Burgos, maybe before Rocky Martinez, one of those fights, and he had just become a champion. And I remember I was at the airport I was going to film somewhere, and I was texting him to try to coordinate a phone interview. right? We exchanged numbers or whatever, and I was texting him to coordinate it. And the way he was responding in text was like the most humble dude ever. You know what I'm saying? He's like, oh, so what time should I call you? I'm like, and this was when my channel was a lot smaller, like a lot smaller. Like, I don't even think I had 10,000 subscribers at the time, right? So my channel wasn't shit, right? This was well beyond it. I wasn't covering fights live and all that. And the funny thing is, the way he was talking to me and stuff, Mikey Garcia was just a real one, a down to earth. He was talking to me like, you know what I mean? Like, we were cool, and I don't know how to explain it. He wasn't on a high horse. And I know sometimes people win those titles and they're like, oh, no more interviews with regular, you know what I'm saying? And at the time, like I said, my channel wasn't shit. And he was like, oh, what time should I call you? What would be best for you? You know what I mean? Just common courtesy. Man, I don't have the same phone anymore. So I was gonna say, I wish I had the text messages just to show you guys on screen, but just a real stand-up dude, real down-to-earth dude. And I mean, he's right. He hasn't lost. He's undefeated, and Broner does have losses. Now, the interesting thing to me is he's moving up, so he's taking a risk for sure, just fighting a guy who not only fought at 140, but he fought at 44 or whatever versus Sean Porter, and he's also fought as high as like 147 and didn't get knocked out in any of those fights. So moving up in weight, you know what I mean, he had enough power to do what Keith Thurman didn't even do. Even though it was at a catch weight, he sat Sean Porter down in that 12th and final round. So that's late round power. You know what I mean? He sat Emmanuel Taylor down in the 12th round, a 140 pounder. So this is a good fight. And salute to Mikey Garcia for challenging himself. I couldn't get a unification that I wanted. This is a big money fight. I'll get notoriety for beating Broner because he's a name. And if Mikey Garcia beats Broner, he'll be the first person who was smaller that beat Broner. You know what I mean? Like, meaning Mikey Garcia doesn't have many fights at 140. I think Elias Rojas might be his only fight, and he came from whatever, featherweight. Broner so far has had tough fights with guys that were bigger. You know what I mean? Like even Adrien Granados. Granados is in shape, has good size. I thought Broner won that fight. I covered it live in Cincinnati. But it was a tough fight. Nonetheless, it was, you know what I mean? It was definitely a tough fight. But Granados has fought at welterweight before. You know what I mean? Just like how Terrence Crawford fought Felix Diaz, a guy who had campaigned and had a significant win at 147. That's how Granados was. Granados had fought at least at 147. Chino Maidana, I mean, he gave Floyd Mayweather a run for his money in that first fight, and he's clearly bigger. Broner jumped up 2 weight classes. So Porter fought at 165 as an amateur. So Broner hasn't really lost to a guy who's smaller than him, like an Antonio DeMarco, Gavin Reese, but none of those fighters were Mikey Garcia. So we'll see. But I know this is a good fight, and I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, man. Broner said the fight is to show people I'm still here and to take over the game of boxing. And obviously, if he does that, if he beats Mikey Garcia and blemishes his record, he's right back where he needs to be. You know what I mean? He said everyone was saying I'm not taking tough fights, and now I am. This is going to be a tough fight. And see, this is the thing too. I've already gave Broner credit in the last video, but the man ain't ducking or dodging nobody. It's like, so all them people, when Broner was like, oh, Lucas Matisse, I'll beat his ass. Hey, B, you know, I dish out ass beating. I'm not talking about whether he would have beat Matisse or not, but some people were doubting that he would fight him, that he was just bluffing, and he didn't want to fight Lucas Matisse. Get the fuck out of here with that. Broner is not ducking or dodging anybody. You got to give him props. See, a lot of people, oh, I hate the way he dances, I hate this, and he parties too much, and this, and this. He has 7 kids, man. That don't have nothing to do with a motherfucker's fight game, right? You got to give the man props for what he deserved props. Him getting arrested, getting DUIs, saying crazy stuff, I don't agree with a lot of that. But I'm talking about in that square circle, what is he doing? And what I've seen from Broner consistently, win, lose, or draw, he's challenging himself. Just like Mikey Garcia is taking a risk by moving up and putting his unbeaten record. Because hypothetically, this is all hypothetical, but Mikey Garcia could possibly be the man at lightweight. There's no Terrence Crawford, and I'm not saying he'll lose to Terrence Crawford, even though I think Terrence Crawford beats Mikey Garcia and he beat him in the amateurs, but I'm just saying there's no one at lightweight that is quite like a Terrence Crawford, so to speak. You know what I mean? Robert Easter is a great fighter, but he's had tough fights. Jorge Linares been knocked out before, and if you bring him into the trenches, he don't look comfortable. Terry Flanagan, he's probably the least experienced out of all of them. So my point being, Mikey Garcia is arguably the best at lightweight. We don't know, because I think the toughest fight for him is Robert Easter Jr. But hypothetically, let's say he's best at lightweight. This could be a Kell Brooks situation if you think about it. Not saying Broner is Golovkin, but moving up in weight, if you take a bad loss, you don't know where your confidence is going to be. You don't know if you'll sustain any injury. And I know a lot of people are just saying Mikey's going to thrash Broner, but again, Broner has higher weight experience. So I think this could be a tough fight. And I mean, better believe it, if Mikey Garcia knocked Broner out, then he deserves mad credit because he has power for sure. I mean, people like Brandon Rios really vouch for his power, said, man, he hit me harder than anybody, Maidana and everybody, right? So he has power, and he stopped Elias Rojas at 140, but Broner has showed to be tough, and he showed massive heart versus Chino Maidana and stuff like that. So I don't know. I really suggest people analyze this fight. This is, to me, it's a good fight, but you can't take that from Broner, whether you like his antics or his rapping skills or any of that type of other extracurricular stuff. The man takes challenges. Sean Porter's still relevant in the division, and even though he didn't have his best performances versus Paulie Malignaggi and Chino Maidana at 147, he still fought Porter, right? Even though he was new to the division, he fought a champion, Paulie Malignaggi. Right after that, going from a light welterweight puncher, he went to a severe top 3 at the time welterweight puncher, Marcos Chino Maidana. Broner's not ducking. So that's just my thoughts on it. Good fight. I like Mikey Garcia's early confidence, and we'll see. Some people think Broner's extracurricular activities and stuff will lead to his downfall against a guy who's technical like Mikey, but Mikey is also taking a risk because he's moving up in weight against a guy with more experience, faster hands. So he's going to have to box smart. You know what I mean? Great fight. Showtime did it again. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.